Hello there, everybody. Today we're taking a look at the fairly recently released Deathtrap by Neocore games. Neocore are the guys that made the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing games, both of them. They are very interesting, quite good action RPGs with an interesting aesthetic that this game also goes after. It seems to be based in the same world, basically. This is actually a tower defense. Yes, we haven't seen very many of those commercially. Not in a while. I think Defense Grid was the game that probably started off a wave of tower defense games that were worth paying for. And other companies have tried ever since to kind of follow suit. And Neocore have put in their effort. Now, in the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing RPGs, especially the second one, there are actually levels that are tower defense based. There are missions that are basically usually like side quests. Now, basically, this game is that made into its own standalone product, which is a very unique concept. It is a more active style of tower defense where you are actually playing a character. As you can see here, this is my witch, sorceress, but she looks very silly, which is exactly how it should be. And you run around like an ARPG and actually, help in the battle. You don't just rely on towers and traps. So, yeah, to start with, there are 3 classes you can actually pick. I chose the sorceress because it seems like fun. There's also a mercenary, very tanky, lots of melee stuff, and also he likes to kind of hold enemies back in the range of traps. And then there's the marksman, who is ranged like the sorceress, but tends to be more mobile, a bit faster, and also likes to have status effects and things like that. Lots of poison. The sorceress has lots of freezing, actually. So, let's just jump in. Also, of note, by the way, is the editor. There is an editor, and the game does have Steam Workshop support, and you can make your own levels to go up against, which is awesome. And download all kinds of people's levels on the Workshop. There are some very good ones on there. So, let's play. There is co-op. I am doing it by myself because I'm a lonely soul, but there is co-op. So I'm about 5 missions in now, and I decided this would be a fairly good time to show it off. So, you have a character, and in an ARPG style, you have this equipment screen. Now, equipment is less important than in a full-on ARPG because, you're actually relying on towers for the most part. But you also have a host of skills, and what I like is that there's actually a lot of skills and passives to upgrade those skills for each class. I don't have access to these yet, so there are 2 entire sets of skills that extend beyond this. So there's a lot of variety in the classes you can play, and that's a very good thing. Also, a lot of variety in the traps. As you can see, I still don't have access to these. But even the ones I do have access to, there's a bunch of traps, and each of these, just like your skills, has various ways of upgrading them. The traps themselves actually each have 2 upgrades that are always effective, and then 3 upgrades that you have to buy in the game, as in upgrade the towers like you would in any tower defense. So these are always on it, whereas these have to be actually built into the tower. And there's also a store, so again, very ARPG crossover with tower defense. There is a crafting system, but I can't show you much of it right now because I don't have very many recipes, but it involves these shards that you'll get in matches, and also an encyclopedia, which I like very much. It gives you a lot of details on pretty much everything, and what you might notice is the game has a very nice Gothic fantasy art style, just like the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing games, and you're actually in the Ink, which is in those games. The Ink is a sort of nether world with all kinds of strange creatures going around in it. So, let's go to this one and see what we can do. The Crystal Vaults. You have the campaign missions normally to start with, and you have 3 difficulty woo, levels. Tickle on my nose. And you can only get 3 stars on a level if you beat it on hard, but I have a feeling that hard might be best either at higher character levels or with a friend in co-op. So I'm doing normal for now. There are also different tiers of the maps, which I'm not entirely sure what they're about. I assume that this is kind of like going back and playing the same map only with higher level creatures and things like that. And then also there's a scenario option and an endless option that unlock at level 20. Endless is just what it sounds like, and scenario allows you to actually customize exactly what happens a bit more to get more rewards, mostly gold and XP. So let's hop into the Crystal Vaults. I really enjoy the art style of the game. It's a beautiful game. I love the Gothic fantasy art style. I've always loved it. And this game, just like its predecessors, I guess its other similar games, pull it off very well. So here we are in the game, and this might look familiar to tower defense enthusiasts and action RPG enthusiasts alike. Alright, so this one's going to be a bit more complicated because, as you can see, the monster path here is actually going to split off, and the monsters are going to take multiple paths instead of going straight down the middle. So, luckily, you have these teleporters that will send you around the map quickly, and a nice overview of what the level looks like and what monsters are going to come from what areas. So right now, the first wave is going to be pretty straightforward. Most of the monsters are going to come from the central spawn point, then a couple are going to come from this one. So what I really want to do right now, obviously what you generally want to do with tower defense is find a choke point, but in this case what I really need to do is focus my first traps on the monsters that are going to come from this area. So first off, let's build some traps. There are different types of ground that you can actually build traps on, and every class has a completely different assortment of them. This kind of mechanical tower allows me to build a gun sentry or other traps of that type that I don't have unlocked yet. And then there are various types of floor traps. This is a mystical floor trap, so it allows me to build some of the magical ones I have. And then there are mechanical floor traps like this that allow me to build the kind of mechanical ones that I have. And there are, you know, it keeps going like this. Also, there's a monster cage. So I want that because that's going to attack in that radius, which is going to actually handle both lanes, which is nice. I also, let's get a spear trap fully upgraded going on over here because those are really strong. And we'll get a slowing field over here. That icicle trap is quite nice. So the strategy is very similar to most other ARPG or tower defense games, but with the added element of being an action RPG as well. So you and your character play a heavy role and have lots of skills as well. So let's do this. Let's see. This essence is what you use to actually build up your traps, and I have a feeling this area could be a bit of a problem. I can't quite upgrade that yet. Let's just start it then. So the first wave, it's going to act like, you know, like a tower defense that you would expect, really, but with the added element of you being able to run around a lot. I suppose most comparable is the Sanctum games, but this is, instead of a first-person, basically an FPS tower defense hybrid, this is an RPG tower defense hybrid. So it's an interesting concept. I very much like it. It's actually a lot of fun, and I think, personally, I feel that these guys have pulled it off very well in their Van Helsing games. Those games just on their own are quite good. I recommend playing them. But the tower defense missions were a really interesting break from kind of standard action RPG gameplay, and they were a pretty neat concept. They broke up some of the missions with a different form of side quest that really changed the gameplay up a lot. And I feel like after the second game, they kind of perfected what they wanted, this idea of a tower defense action RPG hybrid, and they decided to, I guess they liked it enough, make it into its own game entirely, which personally I feel was a pretty good move because it's actually a really fun concept. I feel like it would actually be a tremendous amount of fun with friends as well. But it's very fluid, it's very smooth. It doesn't feel like a gimped version of either, is I think the important part. It feels like a full-fledged tower defense, and it has the mechanics of a very good action RPG. It doesn't feel like a gimpy, half-assed version of just one of those. which I like. It doesn't seem to sacrifice either. Obviously, the world integrity of an action RPG isn't present here because you're not exploring a vast world like you would be in the Van Helsing games or Torchlight or Diablo. But you are given a very unique and interesting setting. This ink area with this cool Gothic fantasy setup. So that does help. And I also personally feel that the variety in skills and stuff is important. Definitely important. This will reach down there, so I'm going to upgrade I just got this frost pillar trap last level, so I'm going to try it out here. And I wonder if I can put another one over there. There's also this room. Oh, I see. So there's going to be monsters coming from in here later. That's going to be annoying. Alright. The game, just like the Van Helsing games, however, also does a couple of things different to kind of break it up. In this case, there sometimes are NPC creatures outside of the waves, as in just normal, average enemies that are actually on the maps. They are a bit different. They are actually in ghost form normally, and you can't attack them until a wave starts, so you can only actually beat them up once the wave itself has actually begun, which is interesting. That means you can't wait in that between waves part where you're safe, and then beat them up and get all the treasure. That's kind of cool. I like that they add more to do. It's a very good idea. You know, breaking up the tower defense formula a bit with ARPG gameplay elements is a good idea, and they do that quite well. It's more or less, the idea is that you get treasure chests when you actually beat a level, and some of them sometimes are locked, and you can't open some of them unless you have all the keys, and a lot of those keys are actually gained from finding those NPC creatures on some of the maps while the waves are going on and going off and killing them. So basically you are trying to rely on the traps you've set up to do a good enough job while you're gone doing something else to actually defend while you're gone, which is kind of cool. Actually, it makes you have to focus on multiple things at once, which makes the action more hectic. It's making you run around multiple areas to kind of consistently try, I let those slip, and get as much done on the map at once as you can. Those guys are probably getting through, at least one of them. Come on, yeah. Alright, that was very close. But I let this slip up here. So now I know, obviously, this area is something I really need to work on. This is not well defended enough. I should have actually looked beforehand at where some of the monsters were going to be coming from. Also, to be said is some monsters with certain types actually are weak to certain types of towers. Alright, there's another wave done. Very thirsty. Almost let a couple of them through. As you can see, you have 20 gate points on this level, and different types of monsters coming through the gates will deduct a certain number of gate points. Alright, so this wave is still these same 3. There's going to be mostly normal monsters coming from that one. One giant coming from that one. Giants are weak to sustained damage traps, which I have a couple of, and this one is still going to provide the most monsters. Alright, so we know that the last wave, there's probably going to be some monsters coming from these doors, unless those are only for higher difficulty levels. But what that means is I'd like to try and make some traps that help to defend these areas as well as defending these, without just focusing on those because they won't do anything on their own yet. So I'm going to build a trap there. Is this gun sentry upgrade? Yes, it is. And there's also this, which I want another frost pillar because these things are obviously very powerful. So these battle upgrades are the things I was talking about that you can purchase that you have to actually upgrade during the match. And those are completely separate from the passive upgrades that are always in effect as long as you have them purchased. And we'll go more into how that works, the points and things like that, once we actually get to that point. Alright, so I can build another spear trap up here, but it's kind of expensive. These acid geysers are actually very effective with this corrosive cloud upgrade. It gives them a better area of effect that lasts for a while, so I'll try this, and here we go, wave 3. So hopefully you're kind of getting it, you're kind of seeing the overall idea. It is a tower defense action RPG hybrid. I mean, that's exactly what it is. You have various skills. Obviously I don't have a huge number of them yet because I'm not high enough level to have unlocked the other categories. But I'm getting there. I have used, as the sorcerer, start with a basic ice blast that slows and damages. You have a lightning kind of lion area of effect spell, which is awesome. You have this ability that you may have seen a couple times when frost covers the screen that actually does ice damage to every enemy on the map, which is nice to use during boss waves and stuff. And I also have this skill right here, which empowers a trap. It makes enemies killed by that trap reward more essence. And I also have some upgrades into it. It's called Transmutation Charm. That makes the trap I buff with it do more damage, which is nice. So, very useful. Alright, it actually empowers the traps. Alright, so this is probably pretty solid. I'm going to let that go for a bit and worry about this area. Put it over here. There's a giant. There's the giant. That is going to be a bit more of a problem because it's got more health, and I don't think that spike trap is the kind of damage that giants are weak to. I can't remember. I'd have to look at it, but so I want to be sure to actually handle it myself. There we go. They're doing a good job. All right. Yeah, this level is actually going very smoothly for now, although I still have one wave left, so you never know. You also have health potions. Just like an ARPG that you have to actually buy between matches, so don't use them all. You don't like get that many of them as drops usually, and as you can see, the enemies actually don't drop anything. The drops are only gotten at the very end of the mission when you actually beat it, so something to consider. Alright. I'm gonna... Oh, didn't quite buff it in time. Alright, so that's that completed. And now... the final wave. Right. In this case, it looks like this particular one is not going to be used, so we don't have to worry about that. What we will do... What's all going to come from here? Not that much, but there will be an Ink Wraith. What's the boss? The Master? Probably coming from this one? Yes, it is. Alright, so this middle spawn point is going to be just ridiculous. Also, I can see that there's these traps in the middle here. Probably a good idea to put some creature cages down. But first, let us... I see... Is that a creature? No, it's not. Alright, so I assume that a lot of these other things are only useful at higher difficulty levels and in the other tiers of levels. So, starting to get to a point where it's clear that... Stasis Trap. It's clear that not... Ooh, that's pretty. Not all of these are actually... like... final, I guess you could say. That the levels do change, it seems, depending on what difficulty and stuff you're playing, which I don't mind. That's always fun. Let's see, those are monster cages. Let's build some monster cages. And I have just enough left probably to build one more and buff it. Let's go with this. We're gonna build another, actually, yeah, I won't have enough to upgrade it yet, but I'll be able to get it mid-match. So here we go. Final wave. Generally, the bosses can summon up more creatures on their own, are worth a very large number of gate points if they get past you, and have a ton of health. You absolutely have to help your towers and traps defeat them. They are not strong enough on their own, generally speaking. There are also a lot of champion enemies and things that can have various effects. As you can see, in classic ARPG style, the enemies have descriptions. Undead, lightning damage, firebolt, right? They have what they do under their name, which is cool. And so the enemies actually do have active attacks. From what I can tell, they won't attack your towers, although there has been a boss that summoned up these little wisp things that disabled towers, that I had to destroy the wisps to get the towers to work again. But the towers don't seem to have health on their own. But the monsters will very happily attack you, so that's something to consider. Bosses are very highly damaging as well, I've noticed. Dying won't fail the level immediately necessarily, but it deducts a certain number of gate points from you. And what I also want to say is that I love the Gothic fantasy style. It's so cool. I really, really like it. And, I mean, just look at those things. Ink Wraith, that looks awesome. Oh god, let's not die. I'm admiring it. Let's not let it kill me. But, yeah, the style of the game is done very, very well. Alright, so that's that spawn point cleared. So we can not worry about that area now. The Gothic fantasy style definitely pays its dividends to this this genre, I guess. The aesthetic of biological, magical, and mechanical things all kind of mashed together does a good job for tower defense, because you have all kinds of weird traps. It has a very mad scientist laboratory vibe, which I like a lot, and I imagine that all of the classes are actually in some way influenced by that aesthetic very well, and their weird traps and stuff. Oh god, that's an Ink champion. I like it. I like it a lot. I actually love it. I think that it's probably my favorite type of aesthetic that I've seen for a tower defense. I really like it. Kind of enthralled by it. The game runs very well. I don't have frame drop issues. Capping it at 60 works for me because I have bad screen tearing because my monitor is a television, so that's not the game's fault. I get screen tearing in almost every game, so I have to use VSync most of the time. Unfortunate, but not the game's fault, totally my fault. I don't have frame drop issues even in like heavy boss fights where there's a lot of stuff going on sometimes and like huge numbers of enemies on screen, lots of particle effects and damage numbers and all that. No, I don't have frame drops. It works just fine. No issues there. Oh, that one's already upgraded. That's not the one I need to upgrade. Oh god, don't kill me, please! Alright, I need to get down there. That's the boss. Oh god. Okay. The Master. Let's get that ready. Oh god. Oh god. Oh, I can't build that. Power that up. Freeze it. And yeah, we did it. And there you go. That's how leveling this game works. That is Deathtrap. So, I unlocked a new trap, Reanimator Pit. What? I'm also level 8. So you get some research points that allow you to upgrade your traps, and when you level up, you get points to, upgrade your skills. So let's continue, and there's my treasure. Alright, healing potions, gold, some shards for crafting, and a couple of pieces of equipment. So there you go, and we can leave. Alright, nameless tomb, interesting. So, let's see. I have 3 skill points, so the skill points are put in just like you would think, really. They allow you to upgrade any of the skills you have, and you can take this many skills with you. So you can only take 6 per character, and obviously you can have a lot more than that active or available because of these. I'm going to be upgrading this Chilling Bolts thing because it increases the slow and the damage, which I like, and also increasing the length of the lightning bolt is nice. Let's up its damage. That's a lot of damage. There we go. How much damage does this do now? Alright, not bad. And traps. So, let's see what this does here. Any enemies who die in or near the pit have a chance of turning into a ghoulkin. That's not something on Tumblr, by the way. Ghoulkin exists for 45 seconds and fight on the player's side. The pit can control a maximum of 3 ghoulkin at a time. So it has a 35% chance to create one from a dead end. That's actually a really good chance, because you saw the number of enemies that come after you. So its general upgrades are increasing the chance of conversion and increasing their lifetime. And also, these upgraded ones that you can actually buy in game, controlling 1 more, having more health and more damage. Interesting. That seems very powerful. I think I'm going to upgrade that, actually. Let's spend some research points. As you can see, some of the upgrades actually cost more than 1 point each. Let's do that, and then let's have it be able to control more. And actually, we'll get all of these. Just 1 star into all of those. I don't want to invest too heavily in it before I know it's really good, but I know this thing is really good, so I'm definitely going to invest more in this. More damage. And Let's see. Give it the ability to increase its slow via an upgrade, maybe? Yeah, and then I'll spend that last point on this stasis trap. Actually did a really good job. So, yeah, I actually add some damage over time to it. Sweet, sounds good. Alright, and there we go. So let's see about the stuff that I got. A mask. Nope. A staff. Much higher damage, actually. Yeah, I think it's... I don't know. I don't know if that extra amount of damage is really worth it. Might not be. That is pretty cool, but I still have that and mana for a little less armor, so nah. And a ring. Oh, there's a bit of a interface bug there. Tooltip bug. Actually, that is nice, so I'll take the consecrated ring. So you can sell items, but you can also break them apart into shards in crafting. You can see in the top right of the item panel what they break up into. These are quite valuable because they break up into multiple types of shards. You can see by that weird kind of rainbow swirl up there. So if I put it in the salvage thing, it will give me a random one. So do that, boom. And oh, I can upgrade stuff. Ooh, but I can't do it yet. All right, salvage. All right, and we'll keep doing that. Sweet. That apparently will only break up into an emerald. So, and then this will break up into a sapphire. Oh, looks like I can shift. Okay, that salvages automatically. Sweet. You also have a stash, by the way. So that's how the game works, pretty much. It's pretty interesting. It's a fairly unique concept. It is done very well, and also these are cool. I should explain, these runes are passive skill upgrades that actually add levels to those trap upgrades without having to buy them. So this one gives me a phlogiston acid level. That's such a cool name for the acid geyser trap. So basically just having this gives me a bit cheaper traps by 5% and makes my acid geyser traps as if I had bought an extra level of that skill. I like the rune system. Very cool. Keep that. Let's see. Orichalcum Phoenix Pillar. That sounds really cool. I don't have that yet, but that sounds awesome and I want it. So there you go, folks. This has been Deathtrap by Neocore Games. Very interesting. Pretty good concept, actually. It's done well. It's not necessarily a super original concept, but it's done in a pretty original way, I feel like. And it'll be a ton of fun in co-op, and it has very good custom map support. Very awesome Gothic fantasy, Gothic horror aesthetic. Kind of steampunky in some places. Very well done. And an interesting world. So check it out. It's only $20, not too bad for the kind of content you're getting. It's obviously got a lot of levels, a lot of character variety because of the number of skills and traps that each character has that are completely unique to them. And don't forget the co-op. So there you go, folks. I'll link you in the description to the Steam page so you can check it out yourself and see if it's for you. Thanks for watching, everyone. And I'll see you next time.